It's going to be competitive.
Great. Wrapping up on this week's version of the five things, this Shockwave issue, we have thing number 5, consumer confidence versus expectations, Gary.
Yeah, so there's a group called the Conference Board, and every month they report consumer confidence. And, one of the things that always makes me laugh, a lot of times these indexes get revised later on. Like, what do? They go back and ask people, are you sure? I'm not exactly sure how these things get revised, but the consumer confidence index for March came in at 104.7. Okay, so everybody's wondering, is that good? Is that bad? It's a fine number. It's roughly the same as last month's 104.8, and it's in line with where we've been, and it's a healthy number. When you see a number around 105, nothing's wrong with that. Okay, so what's the problem? The issue is the forward-looking index, the expectations index. And they ask people, what are your expectations, your outlook for income, for business, for labor conditions? That was a different story. That fell from 76.3 the prior month to 73.8 this month. Is that a big decline? No, but here's the issue. It's going in the wrong direction, and anything under 80 signals a potential recession. And that's why, people were a little bit concerned about it. So it was a bit of a mixed bag. The current number was all right. The expectations number was signaling a problem.
So we've been seeing, Gary, a lot of articles, mainstream media calling out kind of that lack of enthusiasm, I think, for the economy. Seems like certain experts thinks that the American people are out of touch, but why do you think the experts actually might be out of touch, and what can they do to be more in touch with, I think, what you're seeing with the average American?
Yeah, so you've got 330 million Americans saying we're really concerned about the economy. We're not happy. We're really worried. And then you have, a couple dozen economists and journalists saying, why aren't people more grateful for the great economy we have? So what's going on here? First of all, let's unravel motivations. And for people listening, I don't care which side of the political aisle you're on. We're just talking about people's motivations. The press in this case leans very hard to the left, and they'd like to see the White House not change hands. They don't want to see President Trump back in the White House next year. Okay, we understand that. So Americans tend to vote based on the economy. That is the most reliable indicator of who's going to win the election. And so they're saying, wait, we have a great economy. Look at this number and this number. The unemployment number is low and inflation's coming down. And why aren't people more grateful? Okay, that is cheerleading. And that's fine, right? If you don't want to see the White House change hands, that's totally fine. You're entitled to that opinion, and you're entitled to cheerlead for your side. But that doesn't mean that 330 million Americans are wrong about the economy. So let's talk about the reasons, right? One, we talk about the low unemployment rate, the high employment numbers. Well, yeah, that's true. But the real issue is we haven't had an increase in full-time employment in this country in years. All of the growth has been in additional part-time jobs. So what we have is it's not more people working, it's the same people working more. They're taking on second and third jobs, and that counts as more employment. That's okay, but more people working more part-time jobs is not indicative of a healthy economy. People don't take on second and third jobs because everything's okay at home. The other thing that I would focus on is the media likes to focus on disinflation. Again, that's a decrease in the rate of inflation, but real people live off of price levels. So, if your grocery bill went up last year by 20% and this year it's only up by 5%, the media telling you, hey, things are getting better. No, people are still facing sticker shock when they go to the supermarket. And the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, keeps trying to tell us that food inflation is only 2%. Again, I've yet to find anyone who believes that number, and I'm convinced anybody who thinks that food inflation is only 2% hasn't been in a supermarket in years. People are having more difficulty balancing their household budgets. Inflation is worse than they're being told it is. Price levels remain high after a couple of years of very high inflation, and the employment numbers are technically accurate but misleading. So I think people are struggling right now, and they're having a tough time, and they're recognizing that. And if 330 Americans are telling you we're concerned, we're worried, we don't feel secure at home, we don't feel secure in our jobs, we're living paycheck to paycheck, You know, the experts should be listening to these people instead of telling them, no, you're all wrong. The economy is great. We have statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that prove otherwise. They prove you all wrong. That's a bad approach. And I don't think it's going to be effective.